Well, he's buff, he's the stuff, and the girls can't get enough.
Absolutely.
It is Buff Bagwell.
What's going on, brother?
I'm feeling great. How about you?
Hey, man, glad to be in Cleveland. This has always been a great town for me and WCW, and so just glad to be back and hoping to have a good turnout.
Well, you're part of AIW's JT Lightning Invitational, which is, in the indie world, a really big thing.
Huge thing. JT Lightning was a huge name in the independent pro wrestling world, and JT was really good to everybody, and everybody remembers that. And he was great to his fans. He always ran good shows here. So he's got a great name in the business, and that's hard to have because usually you're going to make somebody mad along the way and not have a good name. But JT kept his name real good, real solid, and he was a great guy. So that's what this is stemming from.
Standing here talking to you right now, it's so hard for me to believe that less than 2 years ago you were in this terrible car accident, you know.
It was nuts, man. It was 2 years ago, April, and no, I don't even tell people this because it's something that's hard to believe, but literally, I wrecked my car on the exact same, and broke my neck on the exact same day as I broke it 14 years previous. So in April 22nd, 1998, Rick Steiner bulldogged me live on television, and I broke my neck. I got fused at 3, 4, and 6, 7. 14 years later, on the exact same day, I wrecked my Jeep and broke my neck again. Oh, my God. I don't even tell people that story, but I can prove it on paper. It's so crazy. But it was the worst 2 years of my entire life. I really had a hard time getting back into shape. I was 42 at the time. I'm 44 now, but I was 42 at the time. I think age, along with the trauma I went through, it was the hardest thing ever, but I finally got back, and I'm back to being buff and on stuff.
Did you get to a point where you said, maybe I won't recover, maybe it won't be okay?
Absolutely, I really did. It was the first time in my life, I never even hesitated on climbing a hill. It was just, I broke my neck the first time. It was, back in the gym, get back in shape. I was back in 10 months, shredded, ready to go. Yeah. This was different, man. This was different. This was one of those where I went, whoa, wait a minute, this is a little bit bigger. Hired a pro bodybuilder to help me. It still didn't come back. Buff Bagwell's body was not coming back like it needed to be to carry the name Buff.
Sure.
And
that's your first name.
Right. So I literally was wrestling sometimes with my shirt on even a few times. But lately, about the last, honest to God, I've only been 100% for about 6 months. So it took me a year and a half to get over it, man.
So would you say, standing here right now and in the ring tonight, you're back to 100%?
I'm 110%, man.
110%?
Yeah, man. I'm really, even last night, me and Carlito and a couple guys had a tag match in Ringo, Georgia, and had matter of fact, all the boys said we had the best match of the night, and we was wrestling two young kids that were great wrestlers, so it turned us up a notch too. Sure. And so we had to hang with the young boys to show them we still could do it. So I still can go pretty good.
For a lot of people watching this right now, the last time they saw you was probably 2001, right after the WCW WWF merger.
Yep. Yeah.
What do the last 13 years look like?
At first, if I really would have concentrated and really thought and not been depressed about the greatest business in the world and company going out of business, I probably could have got rich again. But I was so depressed from WCW going under that 4 or 5 years went by, and I'm sitting there with one 8x10 black and white on my table selling it, and I remember I finally go, wait a minute. I said, dude, you've been making a living 4 years in this business doing this. Snap out. So I started having T-shirts and different pictures and Polaroid camera, take pictures with me, and I've made a living out of it. I've been doing this 25 years, and I haven't clocked in nowhere else yet. So it's gotten close a few times, but I haven't had to get a job. This is my job full time.
Take me back. How did you first find out WCW was going under and WWF was going to buy it?
Nobody. There was no finding out.
Was it a surprise?
It was a total surprise. We literally walked up millionaires and walked off jobless. That's how bad it was. It was me. I'll never forget. It was in Panama City. It was me, about $11 million worth of talent. It was me, Goldberg, Luger, Sting, Nash, and that's the kind of guys that know everything going on, the underneath, all the deep stuff. Nobody knew. We rolled up, and all of us at the same time saw WWF trucks. And we went, Oh my God. And we knew there was nothing but bad. So we just all separated and went to all of our contacts. And in about 5 minutes of that, they go, hey, Shane McMahon's got a meeting. He walked in the meeting. It was about a 2-minute long meeting. He said, just want everybody to know that I own WCW now. We are going to keep some of you guys, and we're going to fire some of you guys. That goes for the referees too. Good luck.
So you're saying that simulcast of Nitro and Raw, that was all legit?
That was straight up what they call in this business a shoot, which means it was real. That was a real deal. And like I said, it left people just going like, you know, oh my gosh, you know, now what? So when you saw us on TV first, that was only because contractually my contract was up sooner than other guys. Dallas Page's was up sooner. Booker T's was up sooner. So that's why you saw us three the soonest.
So with you saying that it was all bad WWF buying it, you were one of the first to sign that contract. You knew that it had to be the next thing you had to do.
Here's the option I had. I had so much heat in this business from Vince and the business, and this is when social media was big and people were believing everything they read, and Buff's hard to deal with. They didn't know the true Buff. Buff was really a really nice guy, and I talk myself like a third party, but Mark Bagwell really is a super good guy, genuinely, and so is Buff. And I love this business and all that, but it just really got to where my name got out of control that I was really hard to deal with. So of course that transpired up to Vince and everybody. So what we came up with, me and my agent, since my contract only had a month left, was I told Vince, I said, Vince, instead of sitting at home and collecting another 80 grand I could have collected, I give Vince the 80 grand and came right on board to show him I was a team player. And I was fired in 2 weeks.
Yeah, what happened there? Because
I still don't know.
What do you mean? It's 13 years later. How do you not know what happened?
Still don't know. So, I can tell you the whole time how I got fired. I walked in a room with Vince, Jim Ross, and Johnny Ace. It took me 5 minutes to realize I was getting fired. I raised my hand and I said, 13 years in the business at the time, and I go, are y'all firing me? And they had they're quick, of course.
Of course, there's lawyers in there too.
Oh, absolutely. And he said, and Vince just like that goes, no, Mark, we're not firing you. We're releasing you. Hey, I raised my hand again. He goes, Mark, you don't got to raise your hand. I go, what's the difference of getting released and fired? And they had an answer for that too.
Oh yeah.
He goes, well, if we release you, we don't have to redo your contract when we bring you back in 3 months. If we fire you, we got to redo your contract. And I said, start shaking hands and smiling. It's over. And so I started smiling, shaking hands, thanking them, trying not to cry, got my bags in Atlanta and drove home in my $85,000 Jag that was gone, driving to my $1 million house that was gone. It just wasn't gone yet, but it was going.
Yeah.
And I call my parents on the cell phone and I go, you guys can come home. They're at Phillips for the signs, Buff, all that. I go, you guys can come home. They go, what do you mean? I go, I'm home. It's over.
And then did you ever think, all right, what am I going to transition into now?
Well, my first opinion was I thought for sure there'd be another company. And then to be honest with you, I really thought when things calmed down, it's the old saying, first one through the wall is going to get a little bit bloody. I was first one through the wall, and I got bloodied. But I really thought after things calmed down, me being Buff Bagwell and my age, I thought would really go for me, and I'd come back. So about once every 6 months, I'd just make a call. And I never got any kind of niceness on anybody from Jim Ross down. And after a couple of phone calls, I gave up. And just
you can't make those calls anymore in 2014?
No. Here's the catch. They know where I'm at. They know exactly. They know where to find me if they wanted me.
All things being equal, if you could break into the business when you did in 1990 or break into the business today where it's just WWE, all things being equal, what would you rather do?
1,000%. You always want to break in with more options. So absolutely when I did. Because even when there was only 2, keep in mind, there's 30-something football teams, 30 whatever baseball. Imagine if there was just one football team. Who's going to be your quarterback? Who's going to be your tailback? Who's going to be your wide receiver? Think about how many people would argue and fight over that spot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how wrestling was. There was one company. So we knew we needed at least two to have somewhere to negotiate for negotiating powers. And there was a time that we were going to put Vince out of business. We beat him for 50-something consecutive weeks that had never been done. So we were worried about, the boys had to act like we were excited that Eric was putting him out of business. When our boss turned his back, we go like, we don't really want to do that. You know, we knew there had to be at least two. So to answer your question, absolutely when I did, now is a bad time. Any kid that walks up to me now and goes, I want to get in a wrestling, I go, don't. Don't. So it's a bad time. Just because there's only one place to go. TNA's trying, but you know, they're not really there. And there just at least needs to be two big companies, you know.
I am a big wrestling fan, and I have to ask you, as a wrestling fan, what was the gimmick and the angle with your mom, with Judy?
How that all came about was when I broke my neck, WCW could have made me the biggest good guy, which we call in the business a baby face, in the world. I could have came out of that. I had letters. I had about 30,000 letters, and this was during Desert Storm when I broke my neck, of fighter pilots that would touch my picture before they went into battle. I mean, dude, this was a real deal, bro. And I could have came out of that the biggest babyface in the world. And instead, Eric decided to turn me heel. And it upset, I mean, literally to tears, it upset my parents. And I said, Mom, Dad, I said, I got my boss telling me what I got to do. I got to join the NWO. They're telling me this. But they could have, instead of putting the square peg in the round hole, they could have just put the round peg in the round hole and it been through the roof great. And instead, Eric was real big on switching things. He went against the grain on it, and it caused real, not that wrestling fake heat, it caused real heat. Like, are you kidding me? You'll take your neck injury and throw us in the river on that? So it caused that real, people were really mad at me over it, you know. And my parents, like I said, they were distraught, you know. So, but long story short, man, it just...
So was that your actual mom?
That was my real mom. And so what happened was when I came back to the city, which was Columbia, South Carolina, where I broke my neck, when I came back, the story Steiner thought of it, and we jumped in together. We brought her back to show, you know, what are you doing? You know, so it was almost, it was once again, it was kind of a shoot. You know, she was like, what are you doing? You know, you shouldn't be turning on your fans and all that, you know. So it turned out to be great TV. Eric and everybody loved it, so she was wrote right into the storyline.
She should show up here tonight.
Yeah, she could. We should. She could. The only thing that hurt her, I had her signed up for her. She was getting a contract and everything. And she, on a flight home, after she had won the World Tag Team belts, her and Rick Steiner were World Tag Team Champions.
I still can't believe that.
Storyline-wise, they were World Tag Team Champions. And on the way home from that was at the NASA Coliseum in New York City. And after she did that, on the way home, when we landed at Atlanta Airport, her appendix busted. And she had to get rushed to the hospital. So the storyline-wise on live television, we beat her up. This was the storyline-wise, and she cut a little interview, and she was wrote out the script.
So from a wrestling standpoint, what do you think about, like, your mom winning a belt or David Arquette winning a belt?
I think it hurt it. I do think it hurt it. It did. Maybe one of those things happening was okay, but WCW got to where it was ridiculous that David Arquette was the world heavyweight champion, and that finally sunk the whole thing. But there was a time and place for those kind of little gimmicks or angles, but not all the way to making my mom. Like I said, if wrestling was like football, my mother is right now the world heavyweight tag team champion of the world. And when WCW went out of business, she was holding the belt. So in the historic books, she'd be the world tag team champion right now with Rick Steiner. So I disagree with that fully. There's a time and place, and it was good TV to have her on there, but not to be the champion, you know, not to do that. And David Arquette, not to be the champion. We used Rodman's, we used Leno's, we used David Arquette's, but we shouldn't have made them world champions. That was pushing it too far.
Along with you doing independent bookings, you've got another job that has got a lot of publicity.
Yes, it has, dude.
And I can't quite wrap my head around
Nobody
the fact
can.
that you're a gigolo.
Well, nobody can.
Is that the right term?
Yes, it is. It really is. It's the right term. And how this all came about is just trying to find something else. The car wreck really hurt my wrestling because there was so many rumors of I had died. I was not able to wrestle anymore, so my body was not back into shape, which it wasn't. So there was so many rumors going on. My bookings just went like this. So my wife goes online and sees this thing called Gigolos.
So he has a wife.
Yes, I have a wife, and we don't have an open relationship. We're totally one-on-one, but what people don't understand is it is a television show. It's a TV show, you know, so people got to realize that you can't do certain things on certain TV shows. So it is television. Like a movie, when Tom Cruise dies, you don't really die. You know what I'm saying? So he's still alive, but we may cry because he died, but we know really it's a movie. Well, Showtime, same deal. It is a show. It is entertainment, just like wrestling. So, but TMZ and everybody else just bought into it full-fledged, like what is going on? Whose wife would let them do this, and da-da-da-da-da. And it was, to me, it was great, and it was great publicity for me because TMZ bought in and everything. So we just, my manager found out about it. We went out there and shot the scene. They love it. We're on for the 6th season, hopefully coming up, and we're excited about it.
I watched the episode where you were introduced.
Yeah.
That sure didn't look like a movie.
No.
That looks like the real thing.
Yeah, well, it's actually not. I mean,
You're not actually having sex on camera?
Absolutely. There's not having sex on camera. That's not what we're doing.
But the other guys do?
No, there's no guys having sex on camera.
Sure looks like sex.
Yeah, it may look like it, but then again, like I said, it really looked like Tom Cruise died in that explosion. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you got to believe me on this. I'm being straight with you, and it is like that. You know, a big building blows up, Tom Cruise is in it, he's dead or whatever. It's just like that. It's a show. You know, that's why they call it Showtime.
So if we're to compare this to wrestling, this is just a work.
It's a work. Exactly right. It's a work.
So it's just for the show. There, I can't just. If I was a woman, I couldn't go on this website and book Buff Bagwell.
No. Understand now. The show is a work, and we're actors. But at the same time, if a woman wants my company, she goes on Cowboys, the number 4 Angels, and you can book Buff Bagwell to take you to the prom, to be a companion, to go out and hang out with, whatever you want to do, and for the prices that it shows. So it is a 100% shoot on me being a gigolo or a escort that you could hire to take out to a party, to go ride Harleys with, to do whatever you want, and it's up to me on where I want to take that fun.
So when the cameras aren't there, there's no line. Anything could happen.
Anything goes.
And your wife is okay with this?
My wife trusts me on that because I could do that when we leave here when the camera goes off, and she knows that. So my wife totally buys in and understands that we got a great marriage, and that this is just a decision we made to make money. And Showtime loved it, the idea of bringing a wrestler in, and we got a great partnership with Showtime, and they're excited as can be. And I had the first thing they did was they ran a test on how many hits I got over their guys, and I got 11,000 more hits. And so that blew Showtime away. And so with that going on, they were excited to have me on the show, and it worked, and everybody was cool. So hopefully there'll be, something going there. But boy, it really got a lot of people talking, which is what I want in my business.
If we reverse the roles, though, if it was your wife doing this, would you be okay with that?
No. No,
that doesn't seem fair.
That isn't fair.
Why is it a double standard?
I think in life it's a double standard with everybody, really. I mean, I think that in life that there's, the old saying, if a guy does it, big deal. If a girl did it, she's a slut. And that goes back for centuries, So I think it's kind of like that in the life that we've made for all of ourselves. We actually think that if a guy does it, he's cool. If a girl did it in high school, what was she? She was a slut. That's just the way life is. And I think not because I'm not a jealous guy. I'm not like that. I just think in the world of life itself, I would catch so much. Her having a husband that's a gigolo is kind of cool. Me having a wife that was an escort would be kind of like, are you kidding me? You know, so I don't think it works that way as much. You know, I just don't. Even though it may sound unfair, I think I've made my point with it. Just really is the way we've always perceived it. Is a girl does something a little bit bad, she's a tramp. A guy does it, he's cool.
So if a woman pays for your services and wants to have sex, are you able to say, no, I don't want to?
No, I'm not able to. I do say no.
You do?
Yeah, contractually, it's no.
So they're just paying essentially for your time?
They're paying for my companionship. Yeah.
How's business?
It's doing great, dude. It's doing fantastic. I love it.
So, like, you know, when you're done working here in Cleveland,
keep in mind also,
this is incredible to me.
Yeah, well, keep in mind also, once again, back to guys and girls are different. There is girls that do want to go out and hang out and have a good time. Where if you're going to waste your time going on Cowboys for Rangers for a girl, you're looking for one thing. Let's be honest.
Sure.
I'm going to be looking for one thing.
Right.
Girls don't look at it like that. They really don't. They look at it like, hey man, I can hang out with Buff Bagwell for a day, have some fun, go to lunch, you know, and hang. So there is that difference of women to men. They're not looking just for sex. They are looking for a companion that will tell them they're pretty and hang out and be friends for a day or 2 days. And then a man though, he's not going to do that. He's not going to put that much time and effort in it. But a woman is. So I'm there to fill her need.
So how often are you getting booked for that?
We've had 3 or 4 bookings over it, you know, and just but with that and wrestling, it's, you know, they're based in Vegas, and that's one thing we're talking about now, is hoping to maybe opening up an Atlanta branch, but that's just rumors. We're just trying to get that going to where we can do an Atlanta branch also and have an Atlanta-based group and also have a Vegas-based group and run both of them.
I'm so fascinated by it, and I thank you for being so open about it.
Absolutely, dude. It's just what it is.
It's your job.
It's my job, exactly.
That's incredible. All right. Well, this weekend, your job is going to be AIW wrestling.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing you step into the ring.
Hey man, I really appreciate it. I think you'll see the old Buff, and I'll be wide open.
Awesome. Buff Bagwell.
Hey man,
appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, pal.